Hello, hello, and welcome everyone. I'm Sahil Mahapatra, a student from Industrial Design Department of National Institute of Technology, Rourkela, and today I'll be the host of this session organized by Hackathon 4.0. Hackathon 4.0 is a hackathon to encourage you to use your imagination and invention to develop cutting-edge technology-based solutions to challenges in the real world. It was put together by a large group of tech enthusiasts from GDSC Club of NIT Rourkela and Open Code. The main goal is to grow our local community and give hackers an unforgettable experience. And today it is delighted to announce another informative workshop about the impact of hackathons on professional career. We are joined by Aditya Oberai sir, who is a developer advocate at Appwrite and an avid tech community and hackathon enthusiast. Having worked with various technologies such as .NET, Microsoft Azure, he has spent the last 3 years empowering students and tech communities and is currently active as a Microsoft MVP and Twilio Champion. He was also awarded the Azure Heroes Community Hero and AI Ambassador Digital Badges by Microsoft and is a member of .NET Foundation. He was a national winner in the education category at Microsoft Imagine Cup 2021 India chapter and has been named among the Major League Hacking's top 50 hackers of 2021. Aditya also co-organized the largest student-led digital hackathon in India, Hackon 2.0. He currently contributes as a developer advocate advisory board member at Dave Network. So, without any further delay, let's get started. We are hopeful you will find this session both interesting as well as informative. So, Aditya sir, the stage is all yours.
Thank you. Thank you. That was quite the introduction. But no, I really appreciate that. Yeah,
Welcome.
hi everyone. How's it going? Aditya here. I'm really glad to be here with all of you. And a huge shout out to Hack NITR for being such a wonderful hackathon over the years. And I sincerely hope this upcoming edition is going to be just as great. I've been following the hackathon for a while, so this should be good. Now, I think for today's topic, I've been called to talk about something that has personally been really close to me, and that's hackathons in general. The hackathon space is really what accelerated the growth of my career. It's the space where I contributed the most as a student as well, and I mean the whatever I'm doing today is because I was active in the hackathon space. So I think today what I'll be talking a little bit about is um, potential ways that hackathons can impact your professional career, and what I'll be talking about really is um, a list of ways it impacted mine. Now, of course, one disclaimer here is that this is um, this list is one that can continue evolving. It's not hard fixed, for sure, and it will see more and more changes as time goes forward. But yeah, in the meantime, this is the list as I've brought it because it's how hackathons impacted my career and how I foresee it impacting a lot more people's careers. So I'd love to share about that. Now, if the hosts could bring up my screen for a little bit, that would be absolutely fabulous. Thank you so much for that. Um, all right. I think, my screen's up, the presentation's up. After the introduction already, I don't think I need another one. But yeah, just in a few seconds. I'm currently working as a developer advocate at Appwrite, which is an open source backend as a service platform. We've got services such as databases, database authentication, storage, cloud functions, all of these, effectively anything that you would need in general to build out a full stack web, mobile, or desktop application. So, yeah, do give it, do go check it out. And fun fact, we actually just released support for GraphQL today. So yeah, it's a good day to look at Appwrite. Aside from that, I am a current Microsoft MVP for developer technologies. I've been heavily working and contributing to the community around .NET for a while now, trying to create more and more education around .NET, how to use it. So yeah, that's something I like to do in my free time. And I'm also a Twilio champion. Twilio as a platform is one that I've been close to. It's one that I love building with, and I'm always grateful to share more about it. If you ever want to reach out to me about any of these, please feel free to ping me on Twitter. That's my handle. You can also probably see it here. Yeah, that that's my Twitter handle. I'm also available on Instagram on the same handle. And aside from that, all my communication details are available on the website there. That's oberai.dev. So you can ping me there at any point of time. Now, considering we're talking about the impact of hackathons, um, first of all, we need to talk a little about what hackathons are, right? So, is there anyone here who can help me a little bit with this? Is there anyone here in the chat who can tell me what they think a hackathon is? Uh, I want this to be more interactive and discussion based, so I'd love to hear from you as well. And just by the way, while we're jumping into this, well, we will keep taking questions, so you can keep sharing them in the chat, and we'll take them at the end. But in the meantime, if you want to keep sending in those questions, please do that. Now, I think Jayesh has one answer: problem-solving competition. Ashish says solving of problems as well, and for the most part, this is right in a lot of ways. So basically, as I see a hackathon, hackathons are development marathons that are designed to push you beyond your um, regular creativity limits to build out ideas and solutions. Now, the only place where I would not define, where I would change the definition is that aside from problem solving, this could actually just be for fun. You could go out and build really funny prank applications that you want just because. Why not? In in short, it's effectively um, it's a competition for creativity. So you're using your development skills, and in some cases design skills to uh, you know creatively express what you want to express. That's effectively what it is. So yeah, working on real life problems, that's a great way to go about it. Then again, every once in a while, it's all right to just relax and have fun there, and work on just like a joke application or so on. Like I think one of my most fun applications that I've built at one of these hackathons was a Rick rolling application where I just input someone's number and they get Rick rolled on call, which I've made with Twilio. So you could just go ahead and have fun at these. Yeah, they're innovation marathons. That's a good way to go about it. Innovations, that's a good way because innovations can comprise problems and beyond. So yeah. Now, considering we've defined what a hackathon is, that there could be a few different reasons, right, to participate in hackathons. Um, because, well, as you know, the title of this session goes as well. We're discussing the impact of hackathons here, right? So, does anyone want to share why they think you should participate in a hackathon? No one knows why you should be participating in a hackathon. I mean that's kind of why we're here, so that's all right. But in the meantime, if anyone has, any thoughts on why they think hackathons are good to participate at, why not? Encouraging budding developers is a great reason if you're an organizer. Um, from the perspective of a developer, that's some, I'd love some more points. Ashish, Soham says collaboration. That's a fabulous point. Hemant says connections, prizes, projects. Yeah, learning, exploring, exposure. Wonderful points there. Honestly, I think I'm going to talk about some of these stickers as well. Not, I mean, that's more of a personal benefit rather than a professional one, but sure, that's totally cool. Yeah, as we're talking here already, the first point that I had as well is learning. And I do say learning because if you're at a hackathon, if you're trying to push your creative limits, you're trying to solve problems in a way you've not done so already, right? That will require you to explore and learn and try and experiment. And in the process, you do end up learning. Now, this can substantially benefit you as a technologist because you're expanding your horizons of how technology can be used, and you're exposing yourself and getting hands-on experience of different tech, which is definitely a big benefit because I think if we talk about um, you know growing as a developer as well, if you do have a diversified set of experiences, it's gonna allow you to mature within the tech space as well, and that's something that a lot of us do appreciate a lot, right? Having that diversity and thought. So yeah, learning's definitely a big point there. I'm seeing the chat here, learning how to copy paste from Stack Overflow. Why not? I mean, honestly, if you're able to learn how to solve problems that way as well, why not? Because if you are copy pasting from Stack Overflow, you still need to know where to paste and how to paste, right? So if you are able to learn that, that's still better than what a lot of people might be doing or what a lot of people might be thinking. Not a bad point. I think the next point I had in mind was collaboration. So collaboration is another major things that hackathons will enable you to do because in most cases you're going to be working in teams with different people. In some cases you'll know your teammates. In some cases you might actually not. And what this does is because you're in a effectively in a high pressure scenario with a bunch of people, you learn how to communicate pressure. You learn how to work together. You learn how to understand each other's strengths and weaknesses, and that is something we really appreciate professionally because even in teams in our organizations, we are we aren't just working alone, right? We are working with different people across initiatives, across projects, across products, and the ability to collaborate, if that's something you can showcase before and if that's something you hone beforehand, um, you're simply a better person to work with, right? Because you're easier to work with. So collaboration is definitely something very important, and hackathons definitely enable you to do that. Platform. Hackathons do give you a platform to express. um, they give you a platform to showcase. They give you a platform to go ahead, bring your work out on the top, and that's very important, right? Because the more you're able to showcase your work, the more visible you make your own abilities, the more visible you make your own skills. And you actually never know when you're at that platform, when you are talking about your work and your projects and what you've learned and what you've built, there might be someone keeping an eye out because they need talent like you all around as well. uh, I've learned, probably, if I have to talk about my projects and my work, I think hackathons have benefited me the most this way because I kept showcasing and building out my proof of work and putting it out there. And I remember when I was applying to Appwrite, they'd seen my GitHub, they'd seen my hackathon projects, they knew what I brought to the table, right? So that gave me a massive advantage. So yeah, they're a fantastic platform for you to work and showcase your skills on. Feedback. Feedback is a major point because I think for a lot of us, as we're building, the ability to learn and build is great, but it's all the more important to understand whether we're going about our practices the right way. I've been to so many hackathons where I've been critiqued for my work, and that's honestly really benefited me because aside from learning what you can do, it's also very important to learn what you shouldn't do. And I remember whether it's for ideas, whether it's for my code practices, and so on, having a place where you can get constructive criticism is always going to help, right? Because it makes you a better developer, it makes you a better technologist. It also helps you sort through your um, ideation process as well. So the having a place where you can get feedback and criticism in a healthy manner is crucial, and hackathons will make sure to provide you that. Opportunities, of course. I think that's already come up in the chat as well. And yes, hackathons are a fabulous place to gain new opportunities because let's look at this for example. With most hackathons that you're going to, you've got a few different sponsors, right? Um, they might have come in and talked about their services and their APIs and their products, and you're getting a free place and a free card to try and experiment and build with these. And for a lot of organizations, this sort of interest in the work you do is it actually isn't just for them to understand and get feedback about their products. It's also for them to look for potential talent, because the fact is a lot of companies do need this talent, and not everyone is going to get the same hundreds and thousands of applications like a Microsoft or a Google, right? uh, for them these become great forums to find talent that's actually trying out an interest and is interested in their products and is willing to put in the effort for it. And because hackathons have you building that, people get proof of work directly out of these, right? You're showcasing your skills there directly. So hackathons can be a great place to find new opportunities. Definitely go ahead and participate for that reason, because I know for a fact that I've had friends who've been hired off these. Yes and no. So, I just saw the chat, and it's not just about winning the hackathon, right? Because, like, for a sponsor, the top winner is one thing, but maybe it's someone who's building with their product and who they find really, really good. Like, for example, if I'm at a hackathon and I am representing Appwrite and we have a track there, I'll be looking at all the projects that have been submitted into the Appwrite track, right? So, even if the person the team that's come first is there and they might have the best product or a project idea in general, I might find talent within this pool as well, right? Because they've put an effort relevant to my product, and they I get a chance to look at their code. So this you don't necessarily have to win to be able to win the opportunity, but you do need to put in the effort to go and grab the best out of this. Mentorship. Hackathons are a great place to get mentorship, because, like, think about this. If you go to a hackathon, you find mentors. More often than not, these are people who are experienced on different fronts of a hackathon, right? They, most of these people, either they've worked in the industry for a while, or they've worked in certain fields for a while, right? This opens up an opportunity for you to talk to people relevant to your interest areas, and learn from them about their journeys and how they went about their careers, and that's going to help you again figure out a lot of what to do and what not to do, right? Because these are people who you could continue this sort of a relation with even post the hackathon, and you're always going to learn from them, because they've been through the same places and the same problems that you might have to face yourself. So hackathons are great places to seek mentorship. And mentorship doesn't just have to be with people senior, it could be with your peers, right? Because if for example, you're someone who's trying out, like, just for example, you're someone who's trying out Flutter for the first time, and you've got some peers who've been working on it for the last 2 years, you can always learn from them, right? And that learning is always going to help you, because that advice will allow you to grow as, you know a, a developer, or as um, as a technologist in general. So that mentorship it's a very valuable add-on. Networking is definitely a big pro, because you're going to find a huge number of like-minded individuals who are trying to work hard, or trying to build along, who are there to compete. And it's rare to find places, right, where you might find people with similar motivations in such quantities. So networking is definitely a great add-on here. And aside from networking with peers, it could be with mentors, it could be with judges, it could be with the organizers. There's a lot of people here who are working hard to ensure that, to ensure your success. So you could really connect with a huge number of people there and continue these relations outside this hackathon and beyond this hackathon. Appreciation for sure. Appreciation is it's always nice, right? Uh, a lot of you will go in, you will compete, you are competing at the end of the day, and it's always nice to have that work appreciated, whether that is with prizes, whether that is with swags. We saw stickers up there, we saw stickers being mentioned earlier. Appreciation is very, very much possible at these hackathons because um, these are great places to showcase your work, and at the same time you do always get a little bit back. And some forms of appreciation like prizes or so on do become a hallmark for your abilities. They do become, they do put your skills and your work on a pedestal, and that does assist a lot when you do have to showcase, right? Because you're not just showcasing that you can build, but you're also showcasing you can do so under pressure, and you can communicate about your ideas, and you can pitch them. So it does say a lot. Last but definitely not the least, hackathons are a great place to find friends. um, you go to a hackathon, you're working with all of these people, again, similar minded people, right? People who's out there just to build, uh, because they want to. So why not just connect and chat and chill with all of these people later on, right? You might be rivals in the competition, but you don't have to be outside of it. So these could just become wonderful places to make good friends. So yeah, those were some of the ways I think hackathons can really, really impact folks. And to be honest, the reason I love hackathons is that aside from everything that they give back to you, they're one of the rare few places where you're actually doing everything in the competition just on the basis of what you want to do, right? Like let's think about this. Um, Whether it's college, you're probably writing code for assignments. You're writing code because for your exams. You're writing code because your teacher wants you to do it. Let's talk about hiring tests. You're writing because you need a job. Let's talk about your jobs and internships. You're writing code because someone, whether it's your manager, whether it's a product, someone else needs you to do the work as well. There are very, very, very few places where you will be working purely for yourself on the basis of just what you want to do. And hackathons are one such place where you get to express your work in whatever way you want. So, my honest recommendation, please, 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 folks, go ahead and participate in hackathons and participate in Hack and ITR, because these are opportunities that uh, they are abundant at the moment, but also a lot more limited than you might think. Like, looking back, I wish I'd participated in more hackathons. So it's not that I can't do it now, but it's also, with the regular work life, it can become a little cumbersome at times. So yeah, those were my reasons for participating in a hackathon. Those were ways I think hackathons impact from both a personal and a professional front. Now at this point, I do want to bring up space for questions, so I'm just going to take my screen off and we can talk questions now. Do we want to scroll up and see if we had any questions earlier on? Or if any of the hosts wants to join me, that would be great as well. Okay, Abbas's question: should we form a particular team and participate in all hackathons? Now, here's the thing: both of those approaches are nice. In the sense, there's some hackathons I do consistently with the same team because these were people who I could comfortably work with. These were people who I trusted. It also meant I could scream at them at the pressure of the hackathon, and they wouldn't mind after the hackathon. And they could scream at me, and I wouldn't mind because we understood that it was a circumstance. So forming a team and staying consistent with it has its perks, but at the same time, if you collaborate with new hackers, you meet a lot more people. You build new connections, you make new friends. Um, every time you form a team, there would have had to be a first time, right, where you participated with them. And sometimes those teams work out, sometimes those don't. But you meet a lot more people and you learn a lot more that way as well. You learn different perspectives, different ideas, different approaches. So both ways are apt, and you can try both ways from time to time. You don't you can go to a lot of hackathons with the same team, but you don't always have to. Deadlines make you panic. That's all right. I mean, I get that. So my recommendation there is you start planning for the hackathon and define what is the minimum you need first for this application. The reason deadlines cause panic for a lot of people is because we often enter these hackathons unplanned. And then we just start building, and we'll build out everything that we can, and at the end we haven't built out any of it, or we built out some of it but not all of it. So whenever you start the hackathon, spend 1 or 2 hours planning out what you need to do. Plan out what are the minimum features you need for a completed minimum viable product. The most minimal solution that you can treat is complete. Build that out first. Do nothing beyond that, even if you have the best ideas in the world. Once that MVP is done, you can then keep adding whatever you want, because even if the other extra things don't finish, they were extra. You've completed the minimum you needed to do for your idea. So planning before is the way to go about it. My best experience, Imagine Cup. That was a good one. That was a good one for sure. Um, we spent months and months at it, and we did end up as national winners. That's and I think months of working on, like, honestly, if had I not worked on that project, I probably would have left tech, because I was considering leaving being a developer to enter community management full time, and that's kind of the experience that made me realize that I could still work with code. So it kind of drove away a lot of the fear I had, and that was a big help. So yeah, Imagine Cup was great that way. How to prepare for a hackathon? That's a big question. I'll tell you what, I actually have a blog on it. Let me share the link for that. Just give me a minute and I'll share that. So that should get you through. So I think I'm not able to share in the chat at the moment for some reason. So what I'm gonna do is I am gonna share the link for this blog with the organizers, and they can share it forward in the chat. Just give me a second. I'm testing out the link to make sure it works. So I've shared the blog there, I think, because this in itself is a full-fledged session for half an hour to 1 hour. So I think the blog's going to be a lot quicker for you to read, and it'll help out just as well. Do people get hired from hackathons? Yes. Some hackathons do feature hiring challenges. Now, this again isn't going to be at every hackathon, because some hackathons just don't have that, but a lot of hackathons do as well. What you should do is probably go and look at HackerEarth. Quite a few of the companies hiring from there feature hackathons as their challenges. Some places that have recruited via hackathons. So for Microsoft support engineers, they had Fixathon, which was a hackathon in the middle. I know Grow has recruited people out of hackathons they sponsored in the past, because I was involved in supporting a hackathon where they were a sponsor. So I have seen a few hackathons where people have been recruited. So absolutely yes. What are the things you should focus on before going to a hackathon, and how to get ideas for projects? Um, I'll tell you what. I think for this question, as well as I see another one around forming a team. If you can look at the blog link that has been shared by the by the organizers, that actually covers this aspect already. Now, as far as focusing before the hackathon, that touches upon it. As far as going and talking about how to get ideas, look at problems you're facing in your daily life, small problems that you want to solve. See how those scale, and if you have a problem that you're facing that you care about, and or a problem that you have faced in the past and covered by other means, and it's a problem that still persists, you have an idea. Have you been unable to submit project on time and get demotivated? Yes, I have been unable to submit. The reason I don't let it demotivate me is because regardless of whether I submit or not, whether I win or not, there's a lot of work that I got done anyway, right? I think for me at least, and what I recommend for a lot of people, hackathons should be about growth, because um, the fact is, even if you aren't able to submit, you've still done in some amount of work, right? Now, in general, what I will still recommend is, even if you're not able to complete your project, submit it anyway, because why not? But yeah, it's all right for you to not be able to complete a project on time. Just whatever you've done, go ahead and submit it, and it's all right. It's not like you can't continue building on it after the hackathon, even if you aren't winning a prize for it. It's still going to be out there. It's still going to be on your portfolio. It's still going to be proof of work for you. So what's the worst? What's the harm? UI UX, yes. In general, this is a factor that is important. And now, by this, I don't mean you need to have the most beautiful UI in the world, but your UI does need to be practical. It needs to be functional. Your app should be comfortable to work with. Because at the end of the day, you're not just writing out a piece of code, you're building out products effectively. And the hallmark of any product is the fact that it can be used. So it needs to be friendly enough for someone to use it. And if people don't, if someone's doesn't like the experience, that could adversely affect the outcome of your submission. So yeah, pay some amount of focus to your UX. It should be comfortable. It should be user friendly. It should be clean. Um, as long as you've got that covered, you should be all right. That's not true. Now, okay. So when we talk about this, it's not more about just the PPT or the video than the code of the project. Um, they both have their importance, right? Because the fact is, your PPT or video is pitching the project that you've built out. But the truth is, yes, your pitch is just as important, because the fact is, when you go out and you build a product, and if you aren't able to pitch it properly, even if you've built out the most beautiful piece of code, it's not going to matter, because that's the truth with products, unfortunately. The thing is, when we go in charging, for example, you might be if you're a Python expert and your charge is a Java person, chances are they might be able to understand some extent of it. Chances are they might not. Now, Python and Java is just an example here. It could also be one, your judge is an API expert, but your project is an ML oriented one. So they may not understand some intricacies of it. Um, I think when we focus and we participate in hackathons, we've got to realize that we aren't just writing code, we are just programming, but we are building out solutions. And that's got to be the focus. So it might seem like the PPT or the video has taken more importance, but the truth is that PPT or video um, is only showcasing the pitch of the project you've built. And if the pitch is better, your judges are going to understand your project and your product better, and that's got to take the the trophy at the end, right? If it's about how people perceive and understand it as well. That's an important part of building out products, because these are mini sprints for product development, right? So when you do build out a product, the truth is you need to be able to pitch it properly. It might be the most technologically advanced piece of code in the world, but if nobody understands it, how is it going to get any traction, right? It's the same logic. The pitch has to take that much importance as well. How do we balance the competitive aspect of hackathons with the collaborative? I mean, you are competing with teams, you are collaborating within your team. It's not always going to be cross team collaboration. So, yeah, I mean, that's not particularly an issue, because you're focusing on collaboration for the most part with your own team, right? And you're not competing against members of your own team, because you're all working on the same products together. Like, that's just my understanding. Should you explore new frameworks for different hackathons? You can. You can also use the same ones. I think more than you using React for every hackathon or React, Angular, Vue on three different ones, it's more about what ideas you're building with these frameworks. Because these frameworks are tools at the end of the day. It's about the idea that you're building out. So as long as your ideas are fresh, you're fine. It's okay to use the same frameworks. Right. That's also going to allow you to build some depth within a certain technology as well. So that's all right. You could diversify your range of frameworks and tech that you're comfortable with, or you could improve your depth. And either way is okay. It comes down to what you're aiming to learn out of this experience. Yeah, that's something I recommend, but it's just okay. So think about it this way: if your idea is a web application that uses some amount of ML, having an app developer may not be the best idea because it's just that's not needed, right? So you need to understand and evaluate your idea first, and think, plan the idea, evaluate what it needs, and then decide what knowledge you should have within your team, right? Because if you're building out a web app, maybe an Android developer isn't the most isn't the best person to have on the team, but someone with some design experience is definitely going to be really important aside from your developers. So yeah, think this is answered based on the idea you have. Now, in general, by the way, if you do need a little hack for planning out your team, at least some things that I recommend is that every team should have someone who's got some development experience, whether it's web or app. There should be someone with some experience of emerging tech like ML, AI, blockchain, cloud, or AR, VR, anything else of this sort. There should be someone with some design sensibilities and someone who can make the pitch, who understands the big picture, who sees beyond the code, and who's able to understand people and markets. And this doesn't have to be different people, but these are skills that you should be able to cover within your team. Do I start working on a project plan before the hackathon? You can plan your idea before the hackathon. You can plan your idea during the hackathon. You definitely shouldn't be working on the project before the hackathon if that's something that's discouraged. And this is something that hackathons will specify. If you work on your project before the hackathon and that's um, something the hackathon doesn't allow, you will get disqualified. Again, not something I want to answer because this is just going to close you off or close someone else in the audience off to a certain number of technologies. It's about what you need for the solution. Um, yeah, not going to answer that one because it's not going to help. Has it ever happened when you expected to win but didn't win? Yeah, it happens. It's very common. And it's totally okay because the fact is, um, there always will be a component of subjectivity to hackathons in the sense you are being reviewed by people, right? You might objectively have a good idea, doesn't mean someone else doesn't. So it's just it can become a matter of preferences at times, and it might seem like your win has been stolen, but uh, it's all right, happens. You just because you lost one hackathon doesn't mean you can't win another one now, does it? It's not like your um, ability to win correlates. So my recommendation there is just enter the hackathon focusing on growth and focusing on the work. Let the appreciation and the win happen or not happen. It's secondary. It doesn't matter. It's about what you prioritize on and what you focus on. And as long as your growth is the focus, you're going to be okay. Not winning. And just saying, participate in 50 hackathons, you're going to win 4 or 5 of them. So that's okay. That's going to happen. Judging a project in a hackathon, again, these metrics depend from hackathon to hackathon. So I can't necessarily quantify this. I will say some common points that do come across: completion, how complete the product or the project is, how viable it is in the real world, uh, usability and design. These are common points that do come in. I'm not a fan of technical complexity because this is very, very subjective. Plus, if, for example, I am an API developer, I have cloud experience, and I get a full-fledged ML project, I'm never going to be able to understand the complexity and of it. And like it's just it's going to be beyond my skill set. So I don't like to put technical complexity as the factor. typically. But yeah, no, this again varies from hackathon to hackathon. So ideally, the judges would let you know what their criteria are. I mean, yes, at times, again, something to ask from the organizers typically, because in some cases it can show a certain skill around cloud tech. And yes, I have heard how some people, kind of like the fact that this is more real world viable. It does enable more usability. But personally, I also accept the fact that hosting can cost. Now, for a static web app or an SPA or something, it might be easier to deploy in Vercel or so on, but or Netlify. But there are some tech, like for example with .NET, I need a more formal cloud platform, and that can cost, and not everyone can afford that. So I personally don't give it an advantage, but this is something always to check in on beforehand if it's something that the judges expect, because each hackathon, whatever criteria there are, judges will offer these recommendations to the judges in the first place. I mean, the theme is there for a reason, right? If it's relevant to the themes, then the hackathon and the judges will appreciate that, because, uh, well, it's offered there for a reason. So I will recommend in general, just try and remain relevant to it. Um, However, if the hackathon has an open innovation track, that does open up an opportunity for you to work aside from it as well. So, like, yeah, try and stick to it, but if you can't, doesn't mean you shouldn't build what you want to anyway. Prefer sticking, though. Yeah, teamwork is what wins hackathons. The fact is, you can't do it alone. Like, I mean, if you are in a team, you can't do it alone. If you are hacking solo, then you don't have another choice. But I've hacked solo and I've hacked in teams, and I always choose hacking in teams today. So yeah, teamwork is crucial, and the only way to work efficiently is to have proper communication. You need to be able to communicate with your team. You need to keep that clear. um, Hackathons will be pressure situations, and you need to be able to understand what each person is going through, and be open with them, and it's the same for them. They need to be open with you as well, and you need to have that communication sorted out as quickly as possible. That's how teamwork happens. It's not a very simple question here now, right? Because I can't define what a simple idea versus what a good idea is. Like, for example, if all you're doing is a very fundamental CRUD app, you could have the most elegant execution in the world, and it will still feel limited, right? Um, like, if you do the most beautiful to-do app in the world, it's still a to-do app at the end of the day. I will say ideas should take priority, because when we talk about execution, the fact that it's functional is important. Sometimes if it's efficient as a piece of tech or not is not something we're always evaluating, but the fact that you've solved a certain problem. Um, I think in this case, if it's the latter, um, the latter, if as long as the execution is functional and it works, that might edge it out for me, at least. So yeah, focus on the idea for sure. The ideas are important. Uh, if you come in with a good idea and you have some form of an execution, that could just end up taking precedence, because to be honest, like, if I'm honest, we're all tired of the age old to do app, or the age old like, if I have to talk about something a little more advanced, I think invisibility cloaks, or that whole postnet tracking yoga application, those have become so common at this point. And the COVID mask detectors, that it's not a bad idea. You might learn from it. It's just it's very redundant, right? You could execute the best application around it in the world, and it will still be that idea, right? So focus on the idea. Whew, first hackathon experience. Huh. That was so my first hackathon experience as a hacker was middle 2020. Rookie hacks, that was a part of the MLH Summer League, and that I hacked solo that that hackathon. Um, was difficult, but I learned a lot. I think I went there primarily to learn. I wasn't competing because I just didn't feel I was in that position at the point. But yeah, no, I enjoyed building. I enjoyed making something that actually worked. And yeah, it was fun. It was fun. That's probably a discussion for another time because that could get really, really massive. I think for now, let's focus a little bit on impact of hackathons, maybe, because this can be really extensive. Can the whole team get hired? I mean, if the whole team has worked on the project, the whole team can get an interview invite. After the interviews, if the whole team gets hired or not is a different matter. Yeah, right. Like you're not directly going to get an offer letter out of it. You'll probably get an interview invite if hiring is a focus. But yeah, the whole team could get an interview invite. Whew, lots of questions. Lots of questions. Wow. Anything else? Do we have any other questions around? I mean, even if not, that's all right. Um, yeah, like if you have any questions later on as well, you could always message. That's totally cool. So yeah. Oh, hackathons and CTFs. So hackathons are more development oriented. CTFs, capture the flag events are do take a more cybersecurity perspective in the sense um, you are effectively intruding into a system to capture the flag literally, which could be a word, a string, a comment, or so on. Um, but the idea is hackathons are more creative building, and CTFs are take more of a hacking from the whole cybersecurity perspective definition. I mean, they're both hacking. I mean, in today's world, more than hacking, we're using the term cracking for systems. So CTFs have cracking. Hackathons, as take the original creative building term of definition of hacking that came up in the 80s or so on. So they're both actual hacking. It's just different perspectives around it, right? Like with hackathons, you are hacking together a solution. You are creatively building, and with CTFs, you are breaking into systems. So hacking apart. It's an interesting way to an interesting thought, if I'm honest.
Okay, sir. So that was indeed very knowledge enriching. And so, sir, any last minute tips that you would like to give to the hackers for their future?
Yeah, like I mean, I get why a lot of people would go to a hackathon to improve their careers or so on. Just every once in a while, go to have fun as well. I think I've had a ton of fun at hackathons because I was building things I wanted to build, not because someone else wanted me or needed me to, and that's totally fair. So just go and enjoy it. These places, you're definitely not going to regret it.
Okay, sir. So, any experience that you'd like to share interacting with fellow hackers?
I think probably if I start doing that, people are going to try and chase the same interactions or so on. So I'll let that fun be, let
Okay,
people discover that for themselves.
okay, sir.
Like
So,
it's actually
thank
fun to
you.
not have, to not give up all the answers because if I do that, then why is someone going to want to explore this? So let
Definitely
them
call you
seek some
for
answers
that
on their own.
invitation. Yes. So yeah, that was finally the end of the session, and it was very informative indeed, sir. So I would like to extend my heartiest gratitude for you to you for sparing a few moments and joining us tonight. I'd also like to thank the team of Hack and ITR 4.0 for organizing such a wonderful session along with the team of GDSC and IT Raukala and Open Code. I'd also like to appreciate the audience as well for being with us tonight. It was indeed really amazing to have you guys around. So
Yeah, it
at
was a
the
good
end, I would also
session.
like, yeah, definitely, sir, definitely. So at the end, I would also like to add that as you guys must be knowing that Hack and ITR 4.0 has the awesome initiative of the leaderboard to encourage everyone, regardless of technical knowledge. The idea is simple. The more you learn, the more points you earn. So here's the code for today below the screen. Okay, so use this code in the form that will be shared in the comments down below and rise up in the leaderboard. So we have also many such workshops aligned after this session also. So stay tuned for more updates. Register at HackinITR 4.0 and follow us on our social media handles, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you, sir.